There we go. First of all, thank you guys so much for having me. What an incredible opportunity to be among some of the best and brightest minds in sports today. And tough to follow David. I think David just left. That man's voice is incredible. If I ever write a book, I want him to do the audio version. But yeah, it's awesome. I've been all over the globe over the past, better part of the year, talking a little bit about what we're going to talk about today. How we believe the future of sports and entertainment is interactive. And I never kind of know what the dress code should be. A lot of times you come to these things, should I be in a suit? In California, we kind of always prefer jeans. Simon came out in shorts, and then I felt like, okay, this works. I'll be fine. But we're going to talk a little bit about the future of sports and how it's interactive. And I come to these things a lot of times, and I'll ask the audience. I'll say, how many I speak at blockchain conventions a lot, and I ask the crowd, how many of you guys are sports fans? And I know I don't need to here, but by round of applause, American football fans in the audience. All right, a little bit more. Perfect in the front row. Awesome. Independent of what sport you like, we're all familiar with the modern sports experiences. We've all watched our favorite club or team make a decision. We couldn't believe that was the decision, and we got really upset. So I want to show you a little video. I think that it kind of encapsulates the current fan experience.
Do not throw a pass at the goal line when you have Marshawn Lynch.
We've all been there, right? I've seen that video 100 times. It's never not funny to me, right? I don't know if you guys remember the Super Bowl, right? The goal line stand, Marshawn Lynch, they choose to pass. Everybody lost their minds. So we get asked all the time, how did you guys come up with this thing that you're about to see? And the truth is that we've just all had this. We all want more input as fans. And so we are, like we said, we're on a mission to change that experience. We're going to talk to you a little bit about how we got to this fan-controlled football league. And we started with a proof of concept team, and we decided to do something about it. So in October 2015, the co-founders and I, we bought a franchise in the Indoor Football League in America. So the Indoor Football League is kind of the premier indoor American football league. And we talked to the commissioner. The commissioner's unbelievable guy, very progressive. We said, guy's 35, I think he looks like he's 15, and we said, look, that was a good strategy, only hire people under 30. But we said, look, we're going to turn an entire franchise over to the fans. They're going to choose everything about it, including the geography, right? You can see kind of the geography of the league. We said, look, we're going to let them even choose where they play. So we went out and negotiated leases with 5 different cities, and we let fans vote on that. But not only that, fans chose everything about these teams. They chose it all. They chose the team name. They chose our logo. I'll tell you about the name in a minute. They chose our logo, our mascot, our cheerleaders. They chose our head coach, which was a bit of a nerve-wracking experience, right? You turn that over to fans, and it's the internet, right? We had a press conference in Salt Lake. So they ended up in Salt Lake City, right? So of all these cities, they ended up in Salt Lake. Incredibly excited, and we're in Utah. We're giving this press conference. And during the press conference, I looked down the barrel of a camera, and I don't know if you guys remember in the UK a little while ago, I'm sure Mo does, the Bodie McBoatface. You guys remember this? The UK, they turned that kind of the naming rights to a seafaring vessel, and the internet voted it Bodie McBoatface. So I literally looked down the barrel of the camera and I said, if you name this Teamy McTeamface, we're going to go with that. I sat down, and then by the time I got to the computer, about 10 minutes later, Teamy McTeamface had 250 votes. It was out to the lead. We were almost the Stormin' Mormons, a lot of different things over the course of, but it ended up being there was a last-second rally to be the Screaming Eagles. So we were the Screaming Eagles of Salt Lake. And when I said we turned it all over to fans, I meant all of it, up to and including calling plays in real time. Right? We're out to create Madden in real life. These are real-life people playing the game of football, and we have fans at home on their mobile devices calling plays in real time. And we did it. So in February 16th, 2017, we had the first game called entirely by fans. It was something really remarkable to see. I think I knew we were really onto something when, at the end of that game, I'm going to save that anecdote. We're going to come back to that in a minute. But we knew we were onto something. And after our first game, we went and negotiated a deal with Twitch. We said Twitch's ethos, right, is interactivity. If you're familiar with Twitch, it is all about the streamers and the content creators interacting with their audiences, and we felt clearly this needs to be the home of this league. So we did a deal with Twitch, and we actually integrated our real-time play calling into the chat. So we literally, right from the chat, you could call a play. The jokes were aplenty, saying the new graphics on this Madden are incredible. But yeah, we did it we were on Twitch, and the media took notice, right? So the New York Times, Wall Street Journal, the Washington Post, GQ did a whole article, which was, my very Mormon parents were incredibly excited about my quote in there that I think had 4 F-bombs. It was super proud. They're very proud of my quote. But the media took notice. We were everywhere. We were in USA Today, Forbes, and it worked. So we had north of 1 million people watching these games all over. And I mean all over. We had 100+ different countries calling plays. North of 20,000 plays were called every game. And we finished with the 3rd highest rated offense in the league. As an expansion team, really not bad. But it proved out, right? Fans were actually calling plays that benefited the team. Now, admittedly, the algorithm kind of surfaces plays that we want to run in any given scenario. So ostensibly, you can't call a bad play, but we were still calling plays enough to finish with the 3rd highest ranked offense. And not only we had the offensive rookie of the year, the offensive player of the year in our quarterback. So fans executed well against this. And the Wall Street Journal wrote a really interesting article talking about what is next. Like, what do we do? So we've got this one fan-run team in a league of kind of traditional teams, and what do you do next? And that's this. We'll talk a little bit about the fan-controlled football league. And that is our next step. So I'm going to play you a video that'll talk a little bit about it.
This is so dumb. I understand all these marketing people, they want to make it interactive for the fans. What you need to do is keep the fans at arm's distance. You give them a good product. You win the game. Let them have some good eats while they're sitting there stuffing their faces.
Oh, thank you. So welcome to the Fan-Controlled Football League. What we're doing is we're reinventing American football for the digital age. Literally starting from scratch as if football were invented today. And this is only the league. We're going to talk about the much bigger kind of global sports platform that we're building, but specifically around the FCFL, totally, again, rebuilt from the ground up. It's 7-on-7, so it's fast-paced. Somebody spoke a minute ago about snacking. Games are an hour long. Nobody's got time to sit through a 3.5-hour game of American football. You just don't. The goal is that we're building Madden in real life, so the games are they're an hour. There are 8 teams with 18-man rosters. All teams are going to be based in one location. We'll be announcing it very soon, but we're going to be playing in Las Vegas with a major casino partner, which we'll talk about in just a minute. And fans are, again, like we did with that Screaming Eagles, that proof of concept team, fans are going to call every play and make every decision for each of those 8 teams. Again, fan voting determines everything from the roster, what plays are run. Fans are going to earn tokens and to compete to gain power for their favorite team. So how this works. So we believe that everybody gets a vote. Not everybody's vote is created equal, right? So we have a system called Fan IQ, which allows you to get, the more you engage, the more you're calling plays, the more in every vote, you actually gain Fan IQ, right? So if you've been calling plays since the beginning of the season, your vote could carry 30, 40 times more weight than mine if I just started today, but everybody gets a vote. Again, one hour, and we're going to talk a little bit about team captains. It's a picture kind of the facility. We're playing not in a stadium. I know that's almost contrary to kind of the thinking in modern sports, period. We're playing almost in a studio audience. There'll be probably about this many people in the room. for our games. Again, our goal is really that digital fan. We'll have a best-in-class in-person experience for sure, but this is built from the ground up for Twitch. So it'll be just like you're playing a game of Madden. On screen, we have an interactive overlay. I genuinely believe that this second and third screen experiences are going away, and there's going to be a convergence. It's all going to live on one screen, and that's through interactive video, and we're going to be piloting things that you've never seen before. So it'll still look like football. It'll be accessible, and you'll understand that it's football. But in real time, you'll be able to mouse over things. You'll be able to mouse over a player, see his stats in real time, give you his name. You can follow him on social. You can switch to his Twitch channel, right? So a lot of our skill players will be actually mic'd up and have a first-person camera on them. And so if you want, you can actually stick with the quarterback. He'll have in his ear, he'll get Twitch comments. And so, he'll hear from Bong Ripper 69, yada, yada, whatever the screen name is, and he'll respond directly to that fan. So engaging, you'll be able to, they'll kind of narrate the game, talk some trash. We're very excited about it. And again, we're calling plays in real time through that overlay. We will have, we will be on linear. We're not ready to announce that just yet, but we do have a linear partner, and those folks at home will be able to call plays on that traditional mobile app. I think we're not there with that interactive video just yet. And we partnered with a lot of the leaders in sports production. You guys are familiar with IMG. They're producing our games. We talked a little bit about Twitch. These guys just genuinely get it. Again, interaction is core to their ethos. And New Alchemy, they're leaders in that blockchain technology. And you guys hear the term blockchain. It's a little buzzwordy, but we're going to get there. So stay with me on the blockchain piece. We talked a little bit about it earlier, about how technology is going to change this game. So very literally, the majority of the game will be shot by drone, right? You're going to be down behind the quarterback. It's going to follow that. It's very similar to playing a game of Madden. It needs to look and feel just like Madden. But additionally, all of our players will have wearables, and this will be an open source league. So we're going to make that information available to fans so they can make better decisions around who do they draft, who do they cut, what plays they should be calling. Again, open source all of this data. Now, the question we get asked a lot is, if you've got 8 teams and there's no geography, right? Geography drives fan passion a lot of times. I was lucky enough to just be in the Leaders Conference in London a couple weeks ago, and the Chelsea tradition is amazing. And what they told me is, you're just born a Chelsea fan. You don't have a choice. If your dad's a Chelsea fan, you're a Chelsea fan. So one of the things that we're doing is each team is going to have a fan captain, and they're going to be an owner in the team. And that team identity is going to be shaped by them. Now, fans still get to choose. But for example, and I'm not announcing it, but maybe it'll be announced very soon, Snoop will be a team owner. And part of Snoop's team, he'll have some feedback around kind of the curation of names and color schemes and things for his team. So it'll be driven, and you join whatever team and personality that you feel like you want to be a part of, that you identify with. Doesn't say it here, Joe Montana just signed on as our Chief Strategic Officer. We're so incredibly excited. He's not going to be one of these team captains. But we're going to be like leaders in like sports and entertainment. So again, who's the personality or the celebrity that you identify with? And that's kind of how you get access to the league. I'm running short on time. I can't believe that. So we touched on blockchain a minute ago. People hear that and they instantly roll their eyes. They think it's a little bit buzzwordy. But I wanted to touch on why we're a blockchain company. First and foremost is transparency. Show of hands. I think it's hard to see up here, but you guys know Greg Hardy? Do you guys know that name? Maybe not. Yeah, a couple folks in the room. An elite defensive back in the NFL, an elite player. Had some very intense off-the-field problems, and he was kicked out of the NFL. And you guys remember our proof of concept team was just, literally, we were on SportsCenter every other night. The New York Times wrote a whole page about us. Greg Hardy saw our team and said, look, that is a high-profile minor league team that I can help rehabilitate my image. So he called us and said, hey, I'd like to be a part of the Screaming Eagles. And we as owners were like, that sounds awesome. You'd immediately make us the best player and best team in the league. But then we thought about it, and we turned that vote over to the fans. And it came down to I went to bed actually thinking we had just signed Greg Hardy. It was 51-49 against. Fans voted not to have this guy who's clearly a locker room problem and has had a lot of problems off the field. They voted against him being part of the team. And the fans that voted for him to be part of the team were more mad than that guy who hit the television at the beginning, right? Very upset. And we learned something in that. We learned that we're putting the lives of our athletes and our coaches in the hands of fans. And distributed ledger technology allows us to give that transparency, right? It's incredibly important that they know that those votes are authentic and they really happen, and blockchain allows us to do that. And football is just the beginning. We talked a little bit about the Fan Access Network. Essentially, we are building an engagement platform for all of sports. So not just football. Football is a really easy one based on how it's paced. It allows fans to get engaged from the very beginning. But you guys, I don't have to preach to this room about the size of sports. I think it's applicable everywhere. I'm a huge Warriors guy. I don't think there's ever a time where Steve Kerr is going to let me decide if Curry or KD gets the ball in the last few minutes. But there are ways that we can be engaged and have a voice, even in other sports, and reward me. Maybe I get to hand Steph the ball as he shoots it from off the court before the game. So again, this room understands the global sports market. I'm out of time, so these are our investors. Our executive teams have done some things. Remember the fan, you guys remember the fan experience at the beginning. I want to show you, I'm going to tell you one quick anecdote and then turn over, show you what an actual experience was. I had told you earlier that I knew we were onto something at the end of that first game. We had our fans, we required our athletes to meet our fans after every game, right? So they'd come onto the field, we'd pull the stairs out, they'd come onto the field, and they'd actually get to talk with the athletes. And we were, running around, high-fiving each other. We did it. Our fans called all this stuff. And I saw the most amazing interaction. I saw an 8-year-old boy run up to the receiver who caught one of our touchdowns, one of the very first, and ran up to him. And he's like, Devin. And Devin's a huge monster of a man. Looked down. He's like, hey, nice to meet you. And the kid said, hey, thanks for calling my play. Or He said, I called that play. And then Devin got down on his knees and looked at the kid right in the eye and said, thanks for calling my play. It blew his mind. Like, literally, we're changing the ways we as fans interact with athletes, and I guarantee that kid is talking about that for the rest of his life. I'll leave you with this. This is an actual moment from one of our games from the Screaming Eagles.
Hey guys, we've got another one of our offensive coordinators up here. This is Ben. This is Noel. 4th down, big play. What are you calling it?
I'm going to pass. We still got 11 yards to go. I don't want to see him kick yet. I want to see him pass it in.
Kind of a rough start out there, but it seems to be coming back now. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm actually pretty encouraged. Fans are doing pretty well to get a couple good drives in there. We're getting better.
All right, Ben and Noel, thanks very much. Enjoying the game in 1:17. Let's see this 4th down.
Screaming Eagles going for it here. Verlon Reed drops back, lots of pressure, looking deep into the end zone.
Yes,
Touchdown!
What a great fan play call. What a great fan play call.
It's a happy man. Diametrically different than running face first into a television, right? Guys, thank you so much for having me again. My name's Patrick Dees. You can visit us at fcfl.io to learn more, but thank you guys so much. Thanks, man.
Thank you very much, mate. Thank you. What a fantastic concept.